All right, we'll give it another minute. All right, guys, so we'll go ahead and start now that it's 8:05. How's everyone doing? If you're doing good, you can do one of these for those that are on screen. If you're doing not so good, you can do like one of these. All right, awesome. Okay, guys, so welcome to this first time Masa, well, I don't know if it's the first time, but this is a Masa networking workshop. Basically, what we're going to do here is I'm going to go over a networking strategy that worked for me when I first made Aliyah, when I came here to Israel. I came here to Israel about a year and a half ago from the States. And by the way, my name is Yoel. I'm sure that was written somewhere. But I came here a year and a half ago from the States, and I came here on a Masa career program internship. It was about 5 months. And then after those 5 months, you know, I had to find a job while I was here in Israel. And so this is the strategy that I use to find a couple of the great jobs that I've been fortunate to have while I'm here in Israel. And so the idea behind this discussion today is going to be a few things. We're going to go over a few of the questions, a few of these networking questions. And then also the idea is to understand what kind of experiences you guys have had while networking, to understand how we can branch off of each other's ideas. And so along the way, I'm going to provide what's worked for me. And then you guys can also input what has worked for you along the way as well. All right. So before though, we have most people are off screen, but for those that are on screen, if you are a Masa participant, you feel free to like be verbal too if you want. But if you are on screen, if you're a Masa participant currently, give me one of these. Okay, awesome. And then for those that are, what programs are you in right now? Go ahead, come on. You can say it.
We're in Israel Government Fellows.
Nice, okay, I know that one, yeah.
Now I'm learning programming, high-tech Masa, 8 months.
It's a programming program for Masa?
Yes, programmer, Java programming, and other web languages.
Well, that's fantastic. I didn't know they had that for Masa. What else? Who else is part of Masa? What? Yeah, Caroline. What program are you in?
It's me. We are in the same group.
Okay, excellent, awesome, Aliyah. And Caroline, what about yourself?
Hi, I'm in Destination Israel program. Do you know that program?
Yeah, absolutely. I was in the one that was just like that one. It's also an internship 5-month program, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
exactly.
I'm doing an internship in an advisory firm that provides marketing advisors. So.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, I did the exact same one, except I did it with Israel experience when I first came here.
Oh yes, I know that.
Fantastic. And then who here has graduated? It's kind of tough. From the other people on screen, who here has graduated from a Masa program? Okay, cool. And then I guess we shall see. If you want to write to me, like what program you're doing. Oh, there we go. Here are my chats. Masa Talim, I'm in Ulpan, Masa Healthy Lifestyle. I have Teaching Fellow. Okay, cool. So we have a bunch of participants, that's fantastic. Okay, so we'll go ahead and start the program then. So like I said, my name is Yoel, been here a year and a half, went through a Masa program myself. This is gonna be a strategy that I've used to find work while here in Israel. And the rhythm of the way we're gonna do it is I'm gonna ask these questions. First, we're gonna have like a nice little discussion about what has worked for you guys. So this is definitely gonna be like a group discussion atmosphere. At least we're gonna try. I'm not gonna pull teeth. but you know, if you guys have input of something that has worked for you, like please mention it. Look at this more as, yeah, I am leading the session, but it's also going to be, it can be used as a giant brainstorm. So if I say strategies that maybe you haven't heard of before, that's fantastic. That's the idea. But if there are other things, other ideas that you think of while we're talking, that you say, hey, this has worked for me, I'd like to share that, please put it in. Because at the end of the day, the purpose of this is to give ourselves more strategies for acquiring work and expanding our network, and also expanding our job opportunities. All right, so that's the ultimate goal, so we can help each other out. With that said, let's go ahead and start. So I just want to make note that you will receive this presentation at the end of the presentation. And then I also have a full-length document. I think it's like 5 or 6 pages on Word that I have written out all the clear steps of everything we're going to talk about. So then why do we have to talk about it? Because the steps are quite clear, but it's going to help a lot to actually talk through those steps. So you'll get this, and if you send me an email after this, I'll provide my email. I'll literally send you a document with all the steps that I've used to find work through networking. All right, sound good? You guys can do one of these if like, sounds good. And of course, Lily, I love the emoji thumbs up. Yeah, guys, actually that works. I didn't even know you could do that. For those who are not showing face, if you want to do that, that emoji thumbs up, that would be fantastic. That also kind of helps me know everything is good. And guys, if you have questions along the way, like stop me, you know, like I'm gonna ask you questions, but if something isn't clear, if I like went too fast about something, just say, hey, Yoel, like, can you repeat that? Hey, Yoel, that wasn't clear. I don't understand how that works. All right? Cool. So these are the questions for today's session. We have, how do you know who's in your network? And how do you properly organize your network? How do you reach out to those in your network? How do you expand your network and create new contacts? How do you reach out to those new contacts? How do you follow up if you don't hear from those contacts? And how do you create the space for learning and potential job opportunities when you actually speak with your contacts? And what if you want to reach out to someone, but no one has their contact information? How do you find it? All right. So guys, this is, I'm gonna ask you guys right now, this is not a trick question. You guys are gonna see everything that I mentioned is kind of common sense, but a lot of the times, maybe it just hasn't been put into clear steps. So that's a big piece about it. So my first question is, how do we know who's in our network? Who can share, how would you even go about figuring out who's in your network?
Do you mean like in general or on LinkedIn, for example?
So if you want to go about getting a job, how would you map out who's in your network to start actually reaching out to those people in your network?
Well, first, I think I will check who is an HR specialist among my friends, and I will reach to them.
So first you would see who's an HR specialist and then reach out to them.
Yeah.
Okay. Fantastic. What else? What are other ways to know who's in our network though? These are ways that, for example, that it's for you to figure out, like just friends, coworkers, anyone that you would know in your network that could help you acquire a job. How do you go about thinking about who's in your network?
We can find someone who working in our field, for example, on the position that I would like to have, or in the business that I would like to develop, and to communicate with them.
And then how do you find those people? Like, let me ask a more specific question. Like what platform?
In the real life, I started talking with them, like, hi, how are you? I'm Yelena, blah, blah, blah. If we're talking about the networks, LinkedIn, Facebook, and that's all. First of all, I can Google them and find them.
That's it. That's what I was looking for, is to figure out who is currently in your network now, is you just have to look through your phone book, look through Facebook, look through LinkedIn, and literally just start mapping out who's in your network. What I like to do is I open up an Excel sheet and I literally start naming everybody that's in my network. Anyone that I think can help me in my network. Here, look, I have. So first step, I open up an Excel sheet. Once I open up that Excel sheet, I literally start listing out everyone that I believe is relevant. I go through my phone book, I go through LinkedIn, I go through Facebook, and I actually start listing everyone that I think could help me acquire a job. And that could just be someone that I can speak with. That could be someone that could directly give me work. Anyone that can connect me with someone to actually provide me with a profession, I list them out first. Once I have them all listed out on this Excel sheet, I then put them into 3 categories. I put them into the ones that I think are definitely going to be able to help me. I put them into a category of people who maybe won't be able to help me. And then I put them into a category of people who I don't think there's a good chance in them helping me. Once you have these categories of people who can definitely help me, people who might be able to help me, and people who maybe not so much can help me, I then take the ones, people who can definitely help me, and I prioritize that list. Once I have that list prioritized, this could be a list of 50 people, 100 people. Now you have a clear list of who is in your network. Make sense? Let me know if it's not making sense so far. I know it's like not rocket science at this point. It's all pretty basic stuff of just mapping out who is in your network so you have a clear picture of it. All right? And now you have an Excel sheet of people who are in your network. You look through your platforms, you've prioritized them. You can see who's most important to reach out to first, so that way you have time well spent. And as you start adding contacts to this Excel sheet, as you talk to people, you start adding them to this Excel sheet and put in, their first name, last name, their email address, their contact number, and any notes that you want to put in, maybe their company in there. That way, whenever you need something or if you need to go back to anything, you always have this master Excel sheet of all of your contacts or all of your network for people in your profession. Next, we have, how do you reach out to those in your network? So once again, not rocket science or not even a trick question. How do you actually go about reaching out to those people in your network? And what could that message look like? Remember, you have the idea of, I want a job and I want to reach out to people who could potentially help me with acquiring a job. What does that reach out look like? Yeah, go ahead. You can just jump in, I think.
Okay, you can email them and more make it like maybe an informational interview.
Excellent. Super happy you said that. That's exactly what we're going to get to. So you hit it right on the nail. So this is the intent of when you reach out. It's exactly what Emma just mentioned. So you're starting from that top of your list, okay? And then this right here that I have written here is a template, guys. You can customize it however you like, okay? But when you reach out to someone, it reads more or less like this. Hi, name, how are you? Hope everything is going well. I'm very interested in learning and working in so-and-so industry. I would like to better understand the industry overall, understand what opportunities are available, as well as learn a bit more about the potential career path. Do you know someone who works in this field I can speak with? Now, once again, guys, you'll get the whole presentation plus a document that'll have all this written down. But you can write it down if you want. But the idea here is what Emma mentioned. Here, I'm not asking for a job. The way that I reached out was I asked to learn from people. So I looked at my network and I didn't say, hey, do you have work? Do you know where work is available? All I did was I just said, I want to learn from you. I want to learn about the industry. I want to learn about what your journey was like. I want to just learn from your experience as a whole. That's the intent behind this, is the reason you're going to connect is because you're asking to learn from your network. Does that make sense? And that's a big difference in saying, hey, how do I find a job? Hey, do you know any jobs that are available? Because that's that could kind of turn somebody off. So this way is a very innocent way of wanting to connect with someone, but you're also still being honest because you do want to learn about your industry. No matter where you are in your profession, you can always learn more about your industry. You're gonna always want to expand your network. So this is how I went about it. This is how, and guys, everything that I'm mentioning to you, I've probably done with over 100 different people. And so each time the message is maybe gonna be a little different. It depends on the relationship you have with that person, but that's the intent. And then here I just wrote a message that, and I think, and by the way, someone who doesn't have their video or audio on mute, there's just a little bit of background noise. So if there is someone in your network that actually works in your profession, you could basically say the same thing. Hi, how are you? Hope everything is going well. I'm reaching out because of so-and-so. The only difference is down here, you just say, I understand you work in this field, and so I wanted to ask if you would be open to speaking one of these days. Thank you. That's it. That's how you reach out to someone in your network, just like that. So how do you expand your network? Okay, guys, well, actually, make sure you stop me if something's not clear or if something's like, I don't get it, okay? How do you expand your network or create new contacts? So what's a way that when you reach out to those contacts that you can continue to expand your network?
Maybe you can visit some meetup and conference, professional conference.
So in other words, it would like, you're saying to meet with the contact that you reached out to. Sort of. Maybe the screen froze a little bit.
One more way, you can ask the people you know if they know someone from this area. And if they know someone from this area, if they can contact you with that person.
Exactly. Exactly. It would be like that. Every single time you speak with someone, every time you have a phone call, a face-to-face, whatever it is, you should always finish your conversation with something along these lines. This is just how I word it, but you can tailor it to your personality. I love learning from professionals like yourself. It's really a great way for me to learn about the industry. Do you know anyone else who would be open to connecting with me as we did today, so I can continue to learn about the industry from different perspectives? With the 100+ people I did this with, 90% of the time, they gave me at least one other contact, sometimes more. So,
I have a question.
yeah,
Sorry.
of course, of course.
I think that first of all, you need to ask another person if they need your help. So for example, I'm usually saying that if you need some help, I can help you in this. No?
That is one way. There's nothing wrong with asking if they need help, but I'll tell you that what I basically did is I'm gonna share with you the conversation that I had, which the conversation that I have is always, and I'm gonna share this in detail in a second, is always, thank you for speaking with me. Then they always wanna learn about me, and then I share about me, and then I ask them a handful of meaningful questions, genuine questions that I wanna know the answer to so I can learn from them. And then honestly, at the end of most of my conversations, I just say like, thank you for speaking with me. They either give me a contact or they give me a job opportunity, or they say, you know, that's it, thank you. But the majority of the time, I would actually say 90% of the time, I didn't actually offer them anything. And they still either gave me some sort of opportunity, connected me with someone. So what I'm saying is, for sure, you can most definitely offer something. If like you find some sort of need that you can fill for them, then most definitely. But what I'm saying is that I didn't offer anything like that and it still worked. So it's just to, I think about how often you do that, because if you were to do this, let's say with like 70 to 90 people, and you're offering a little bit of help every time, and let's say a lot of those people take you up on that offer, you're going to become you can become pretty busy. So it's also to, I think, be aware of how often you do that. If the contact you're speaking with is someone you really want to leave a good impression with and really want to connect with, then yeah, I would say that that's a good move. But I would say you can feel it out, and it's worked without it as well. Does that help? Cool. Any other questions, guys? Okay. So that's that. That's how you continue to expand your network when you talk to people. Because if you think about it, every time you'll talk with someone, they give you a contact, it keeps growing from there. So how do you reach out to those new contacts? It's pretty similar to how you would reach out to contacts that you already know. The biggest difference here is one, I wrote here, usually email or text is best. I mean, if you feel comfortable calling them, you're more than welcome to call them. Or if someone told you that you should call them, you're also allowed to call them as well. But typically email or text is best. And the template, once again, you can customize it. This is just what's worked for me. Hi, name, how are you? So-and-so, the person that referred you to this contact, shared your number and email with me because I'm very interested in learning and working in so-and-so industry. You put a short intro about who you are. I did this one. I made Aliyah this year and came to Israel through a Masa professional development program. I would like to better understand the industry overall, understand what opportunities are available, as well as learn a bit more about the potential career path. Would you be open to speaking one of these days? Thank you. The referral piece is really important. If you're going to send an email, make sure you put the referral's name in the subject line. Because a lot of times, the people that you're reaching out to can be very busy people. And so if they just get a random email from someone they don't know and there's no connection, you're not going to be first on their list for them to respond to. But if they have a referral of a friend or someone who has a relationship with them and they see that name in the subject line, they're going to want to help their friend by helping you. They also want to help you, but a lot of times if a friend asks you guys, for example, for a favor to speak with someone, aren't you going to want to speak with that person as a favor to your friend? So that's why the referral is really important. If you send a text, to put it in the first line, just how you see here, because when you send a text message in a WhatsApp or in a text, when it comes down on that little notification on your phone, you're going to see like the first 5 or 6 words. So if they see a random number, which will already get their attention, but they also see that it's that connection that sent them there, they're going to be more inclined to want to respond a lot quicker. Same thing goes for an email. You put it in the subject line and you also put it in the first line because you also see the first line in your inbox. And I highlighted here Aliyah because I have to tell you, for those that are, and actually write in the chat box just so I can see, say like, I'm like making Aliyah, or considering making Aliyah, or making Aliyah in the chat box, just so I can see how many people actually are considering making Aliyah. So the idea behind mentioning Aliyah is because people have a soft spot for if you're making Aliyah. All right, and it makes sense because you literally are taking your life from another country and then moving to Israel, right? And so when you write that you've made Aliyah, people are also going to be a lot more willing to help you. So mentioning that you're making Aliyah is a great way to kind of make people more interested in helping you. It's a key piece to it. People take Aliyah quite seriously, especially Israeli professionals or people who have also made Aliyah themselves. All right, so that's a key nugget in the message. Let's say you want to take this strategy outside of Israel and Aliyah doesn't come into play. If you've recently graduated from college or university, that's another good one, because saying that you're a recent grad also kind of plays the same note of saying like, I'm kind of new to the field and I want to learn more about it. So that's another good one to add in there. You know, if you're 5+ years in your industry and you're kind of like, well, I didn't make Aliyah and I haven't graduated from college, like what should my intro be? It could also be something very basic along the lines of, I want to understand this field with more depth just because there's so much to learn from the field. Whatever it is, something slightly like that. Now I'm curious to ask you guys, how have you reached out to people in the past? Like from what we're talking about, if anyone has reached out trying to acquire work through networking, what has been your strategy thus far? I'm going to get into mine a little bit more, but I'm curious what other people's strategy has been in finding work through networking, if it's been successful. Okay, all good. So by the way, most people in this chat, looks like there's a lot of gonna make Aliyah and considering making Aliyah. Okay, fantastic. So how do you follow up from your contacts if you don't hear from them? So if anyone has worked in sales, you would kind of have an idea about this. I've also worked in sales. Just so you know, my background, which I didn't mention earlier, is in business development. I have background in sales, background in marketing, video production, event production, and career coaching. I can definitely say for the last like 15 years or so, I've played the professional field quite a bit to try and figure out where I land. So I picked up a few tricks along the way. And so how do you follow up if you don't hear from your contacts? Look, there is no exact science to a follow-up. A follow-up is something that you feel. If you feel you should follow up in 3 days, then that's great. If you aren't sure, 1 week is usually a pretty good default for following up. Okay, and typically I would follow up 4 or 5 times in a span of 4 or 5 weeks. So once a week for 4 or 5 weeks. And the follow-ups are pretty straightforward. Like I said, nothing that I'm sharing is like a magic trick. Once you read it, you're like, this is pretty common sense. But sometimes someone just needs to lay it out for you and then it all kind of comes together.
Sorry.
Yeah.
My question. Hi, Yoel. My question is: it is really makes sense follow up again?
Like to follow up multiple times?
Yes.
Excellent question. 100%. In fact, I have followed up, and I promise you, multiple times, 6, 7 times, and on that 7th time, I get a response. And on that 7th time, they're not upset with you. And if they are, whatever, they weren't going to talk to you anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But on that 7th time, I've had people who literally said, sorry, I've been busy. Thank you for following up, for being so consistent with following up. They literally appreciate the fact that you want to.
Maybe I'm wrong, but for some people, it could, their attitude to you will be, could be worse than it could be better. But maybe I'm wrong, I don't know.
So you're not wrong. You're not wrong because, like I said, there is no science. Like the way that I'm sharing it is not like the way, right? This is just what I've done and what has worked for me often, you know? So, but in theory, I think you'll have a much higher success rate if you just follow up more often. Because most of the time, the professionals you're reaching out to, they understand the follow-up game and they understand that they need to be followed up with a handful of times. You can almost kind of put it in your shoes. Like if somebody were to follow up with you once a week for 5 weeks in a row, are you really going to be mad at that person? Or would you be like, wow, that person wants to get in touch with me. Let's see what they want. Like you can even ask yourself that question. And for most people, they're not going to be mad at that person because this follow-up game is honestly a universal game in business. This is like what I've done in the US. This is what I've done in Israel. And so this is just like how the game is played when it comes to follow-up. So it is a very valid question, but I wouldn't worry too much about it. Like if someone reaches back out and says, please stop following up with me. At least now you have an answer that that person is not going to help you. But it's better than just like, than having no idea.
It's better to check, of course. I agree.
You know, and you'll have a higher success rate with following up more often. Now here I say follow up 4 or 5 weeks and then decide if it's worth your time, because let's say you're following up with 50 or 60 people. Yeah, guys, this a lot of times this is a numbers game. If you're following up with that many people, you know, every week, it's going to take up a lot of your time. So if you really want to get in touch with someone, there's one professional that really would make a big difference for you. Then you can continue to follow up 6, 7, 8, 9 weeks out. After 5 weeks, you can obviously increase the distance between your follow-ups. You can start following up every 2 weeks. Yeah.
Hi, you mean to send them the same letter, or all the time different letter?
Thank you. Great question. So the way I've done it is I would continue to follow up with them in the same email chain. That way they see my follow-ups in all of them. So they'll see my first follow-up, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and it's always in the same email chain. And that way they have my history, and then the subject always stays the same, which is the referral name in there. And then in text messages, I also do the same thing. If you have email and text, you can switch off following up in both. If you don't feel comfortable with the text, that's okay. But if your referral says that you're allowed to text them, then feel free to text them a few times. And also, guys, you know, feel free to use your referral as well, if you can. Like I said, it's a case-by-case basis. But if they're not getting in touch with you, you can say, hey, person who referred me, they're not reaching back out. Would you mind giving them a nudge? And sometimes they'll help you out and they'll say, hey, can you respond back to them? So, you know, like I said, there's no science. It's not like black and white. It's kind of case-by-case basis. But did that help?
Excuse me. Hi.
Yeah.
Could you please make an example of the subject of the letter? For example, I should write name and past name of the person who shared with me his number, and
Yes.
so
Great
only name and past name. That's all.
Yeah, that's what I did. I just put Jane Smith referral. That's it.
Okay.
That's all I wrote in the
Okay.
subject line. And that had a lot of success just doing that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And yeah, and then in a text message, it's kind of like what you see here. Hello, how are you? So and so referred me, and then it's pretty close. And then I put the first follow up so you can see what that looks like. I'm not sure if you guys had a chance to read it, but it looks very close to the first message. The only thing different that I wrote here was just that I'm following up my previous message. In the fifth follow-up, it looks a little different. Once you get to like the 5th, 6th, 7th, now it's short messages. Hi, name, checking in again to see if you might be open to connecting one of these days. Speaking with someone like yourself would be greatly helpful. Thank you. It's just short and sweet, and if they need more information, then they can read your other messages that you sent earlier. And guys, if, I don't know, if you have a question about a previous slide that like comes up now or something, and you like need to connect the dots somehow or whatever, like, let me know if you have questions about a previous slide as well.
So the text the text could be in the first, the second, the third messages a bit different, but the meaning is the same.
Yes, exactly. Aliyah, thank you for asking that. So here, because it's a presentation, I didn't write out each message, but in the full 5-page Word document, I literally wrote out what first, second, third, fourth, fifth message actually looks like in a template for each one. But yeah, they basically, the first two kind of look the same, and they just get a little shorter, 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 and shorter until you're just like, hey, what's up? You know, more or less. So yeah, Aliyah, did that help?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, great. So now here is kind of the meat and potatoes of the presentation. So how do you create the space for learning and potential job opportunities when you actually speak with your contacts? What do you guys think? Like I said, none of this is a trick. It's like
Could you please specify what you mean by space for learning while speaking to the contacts?
Yes. So create the space basically means how do you create the opportunity for learning and how do you create the opportunity for learning and how do you create the opportunity to create a job opportunity within the conversation with your contacts? Does that make sense?
No, sorry.
No, please. I'll literally keep saying it in different phrases until it lands. So don't worry. So when you're talking with your contact, the idea in that conversation is to try and create a job opportunity, right? Like the most ideal outcome would be that you're talking with that contact and at the end of that conversation, they have offered you a job. And so how do you create a conversation where they are now potentially offering you a job?
Okay, I got it. What about learning? Like to learn what? Is there a possibility for a job?
Great question. So learning, so the reason I say learning is because in the conversation I'm about to get to, I guess let's just get to the next slide, is like this. Let me explain it and then let's see if it answers the question. And then if not, of course, let's talk about it. So the conversation will look like this. You've now reached out to them with the templates that I've given you guys. They say, sure, I would love to meet. Call me on Tuesday at 6 p.m. Sounds great. You give them the call. They answer the phone. Now you say, thank you, John, for taking the time to speak with me. Although here it would probably be like Shmuley. Thank you for taking the time to speak with me. I really appreciate the opportunity to learn more about this industry from someone like yourself, since it's a field I wish to work in, and learn more about how to best navigate it. Once again, this is how I talk. You can kind of say it how you want, but you're thanking them for their time. Right after you give an introduction, the majority of the time, they're going to ask you about you. They're going to say, who are you? What's your background? When they ask that question, this is your 60-second highlight of an informal interview. So what you just did in asking them to learn about their experience is you now put yourself in front of them, pretend you have a decision maker, someone who's working in the profession who can actually give you a job, is now asking you about you. And you are gonna now give a 60-second highlight reel. Not like in an interview where you talk about yourself for 30 minutes. In 60 seconds, what do you have to say about yourself? What has been your experience? And that is something that you can kind of customize. Give the top things in there, but when you give the 60-second highlight, don't have the vibe, which is, I know, not easy, but don't have the vibe of this is an interview. Be casual, be cool, be professional, and say, this is who I am. You know, I've worked in event production for the past 6 or 7 years. I've worked in business development for the past 3 years. I've been working in career coaching for the past 3.5 years, doing A, B, and C. And so now I'm interested in doing something along these lines. You can make it even better. Like that was off the cuff, but like you can make it a really nice 60-second highlight that also isn't almost, you're not trying too hard, you know? So 60-second highlight where it's in between like a conversation and in between what you would say in an interview. So you kind of have to practice your story in like a very casual way. Okay, so to repeat, you give the introduction, they're gonna say, who are you? You're gonna give this 60-second highlight, which basically you now just talked about who you are and why you're important and what your background is. And what's happened to me in the past is when I give this highlight, like when I've shared 60 seconds about who I am, and I was very careful about what I mentioned in those 60 seconds, not a lot of the time, but sometimes, guys, the majority of the time, you're not going to get a job opportunity in a conversation, but you're creating the space, you're creating the opportunity for an opportunity. And by doing this, I literally had someone in the middle, in the first 60 seconds say, I have someone you'd be perfect for. You know what, let me connect you to this guy. They're actually looking for someone who has your background. You know what, we are actually looking for someone with your experience. That's what has happened. Like I said, it doesn't happen a lot. That's why this is a numbers game. So the more people you do this with, the more chances you have to be in front of people, the higher chance you have of that happening. And then let's say you do your 60-second highlight, and then they say, okay, great, like there's no opportunity there, which will happen most of the time. Then they're gonna say, how can I help you? What's up? The way that you actually have this conversation is you're here to learn. The intent of the conversation is for you to learn about your profession, is to learn about your field. We can always get better at our craft. We can always get better at our profession. So now you have a professional who's been working in the field for years, and you can pick their brain about anything that you want. They have given you the floor to ask them whatever questions you want. So here you have to come up with genuine questions you want to ask them. These are just examples. These questions might not apply to you, but these are some of the questions that I asked. I would love to learn a bit more about, this one actually is more universal. I would love to learn a bit more about how you got to where you are today and what your professional path may have looked like. How does your company come up with its initiatives, projects, programs? Now you're just being curious. And in asking these genuine, authentic questions, what you're gonna do is you're gonna create a meaningful conversation. And a meaningful conversation creates to an authentic connection, an authentic relationship. And when you have an authentic relationship, that person is going to be much more willing to connect you with somebody else. And also, if you have an authentic relationship, now you are on that person's radar. What I have down here, worst case scenario, is there's no job opportunity, but you've now learned a bunch about your profession. You have now created a new contact with that person that you spoke to, and they'll most likely provide another contact for you. And now you're on their radar if something comes up. I've had people who I've spoken to send job opportunities for me 6 months later, just because like they've thought about me and we had a really nice conversation. Like we bonded. Like these could be really fun conversations. They're not stiff like an interview. Like there's no win or lose. In an interview, there's like a win or lose. Like you either get the job or you don't. That's not this. If you don't get the opportunity, you haven't lost. You're only winning in this game. There's just different levels of winning. Getting a job offer is the biggest win you can have. But at the minimum, you're gonna have the worst case scenario, which is I've learned something about the profession. I've created a meaningful contact. Now I'm on the mind, the radar of this person, a lot of times a decision maker. Questions?
Excuse me. As I said before, our goal is that the person who you contact will give your CV and cover letter to the HR's department. And I do not think that this potential contact, will waste his time to go down to your story to ask a lot of questions about you. Probably it is HR's responsibility to contact with you and to ask these questions.
Michael, that's a really good insight. So let me clear something up. In these conversations, HR has nothing to do with them. HR is not involved in this whatsoever. These are people that you are individually reaching out to, and they've agreed to allow you to learn from them. Does that make sense? So for example, let's say, I'm just gonna give you an example right now. Let's say I am interested in doing video marketing. Michael, you are in my network, and I know that you are a well-connected guy and that you have done some projects in video marketing and that you could probably connect me with someone in video marketing. I would reach out to you and say, Michael, do you know anyone that I could reach out to learn from their experience in video marketing, because I want to learn about the field and I want to understand what job opportunities might be in the field. I'm not asking you for a job, or I'm not asking you to connect me with someone who has a job. I'm just asking you to connect me with someone who I could learn from and who I could understand the career path of the profession. You're gonna say, yes, I do. My friend, Aliyah, he works in video marketing. I'm sure he'd be happy to talk to you about anything. Then you give me Aliyah's contact. I'm going to write to Aliyah and say, hi, Aliyah. Michael shared your contact information with me. I'm interested in learning and working in this field, and I would love to learn more about the field from your experience. Would you be open to talking with me? I want to better understand how to navigate this industry and what the different road paths are. And then Aliyah would say, most likely, he's going to say, sure, no problem, we can talk. And now we schedule a meeting. I schedule a meeting with Aliyah, and we have this conversation with Aliyah. Okay, Aliyah is not connected to HR in any way. It's just a one-on-one. It's just like almost like a friend-to-friend conversation. It's like you're meeting up with someone for coffee, just to pick their brain about the industry. And then in that conversation, you actually have to want to learn something. If you guys don't want to learn anything, this is not really going to work, because you're just going to ask very bland questions and it's just going to be over. You have to want to actually learn about your industry. And yes, sometimes you will have repetitive conversations, but you're always going to learn a little piece about the industry some more. So, Michael, does that help? That this is like separate from HR, and like that's why the conversation works.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and another question, for example, how you can be on the radar of this person. Probably he knows about opportunities only in his department, and so probably he might not know about opportunities in another departments. Only HR knows about these opportunities.
So yes, and something else. So if you contact him, he might know of opportunities only in his department. He might transfer you to HR, which if you get to that point, that's already fantastic, because then somebody from within the company is referring you to HR. So that's going to get your resume read first. But I've had people, for example, that when I've spoken to them and I was networking for video marketing, who have said, you know, I don't have anything for you, but I have a person that I've worked with that does projects, and they're looking for someone like you, and their companies are not related. And he just gave me somebody else's contact and then referred me to him, and then I spoke with that person. And so it had nothing to do with his business. He just connected me to a friend who does similar work, and he knows that they are in need of work. So that's why it's like there's a lot of outlets that can happen. There's a lot of different things that can happen. And I really like your point, which is that person could connect you with his own HR department, which would be great, because now you're going to be at the top of that pile for that company. You just like almost kind of cheated the system by jumping ahead of everyone instead of just applying online. Or they might connect you with a person that's unrelated. That could also happen. Or like I said, there might be no opportunities. They don't want to connect you with their HR. They don't know of any friend of theirs that has opportunities. They would just say, you know, you connected me with Aliyah after the end of Aliyah's conversation. Aliyah answered all my questions. We had a lovely conversation. And then I just say, Aliyah, do you have anybody else that I could talk with? Aliyah will most likely say, yes, you can talk to this person over here, James. And then he'll give me James' number. And then I'll repeat the process with James. Does that make sense?
Okay, thank you. Yes, of course.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
You just mentioned repeating that process, which is something I've been struggling with, I guess. So I've done this kind of thing where I connect with somebody and then they connect me with somebody else, and then down and down the line.
Yeah.
What is that really supposed to lead to, I guess? And what's the end goal?
Really good question. The end goal is basically to put yourself in front of enough people where somebody might actually give you a job opportunity. I'm going to give you just facts. I basically had the same conversation with about 100 people or so, right? Out of those 100 people, now, I'm sorry if these numbers turn you off, 5 offered me an opportunity, right? At some point, you kind of know what they're going to say and you kind of know how the conversation is going to go. I agree. It can get a little bland. By the way, and guys, I'm just kind of giving you the game. They have no idea how many people you've spoken to beforehand. You kind of have to put on your game face and then just have that conversation again. And then hopefully you've talked to enough people that you were in the right place at the right time and that happened. And you've also planted seeds in all of these people's minds. So then now opportunities can come back to you later on. So like I said, it is one strategy. It's not the only way. As you do this, you should of course be applying online. You should of course be doing LinkedIn strategies and networking on there as well, which I'm not so good at LinkedIn, but we can also discuss like getting an expert and running LinkedIn strategies as well. But this is one strategy. You should be doing all of them to get you the best opportunity. This one's just helpful because it's worked for me and it expands your network. And now I have literally this Excel sheet that I've tapped into multiple times for favors that were like unrelated to work or related to work, but I'm not looking for a job. So did that help?
Yeah, for sure. That was great. Thanks.
Okay. Great questions, guys. All right, so I explained it, but just in case, I just want to recap. So recap of what just happened. You asked to learn from that contact. And then that contact was open to connecting with you. I'll just read it so that way it doesn't throw us off. You asked to learn from them, which connected you with them. You created a space or an opportunity for an informal interview to have the opportunity to present yourself. You learned about your profession firsthand from a professional by asking genuine questions. Your meaningful conversation created a new contact to your network. That's it. That's all the strategy is you're asking to learn. Because you asked to learn from someone, you've now created an informal interview with that person. The more informal interviews you can have, the higher chance you'll have of someone saying, I know of an opportunity or I have an opportunity. This is how you actually expand your network, which, by the way, guys, expanding your network isn't just for you. You can also help people that way, because if you do this enough, you're going to have like 100+ people. And if you've been good at tracking who they are, what their company is, notes about them, somebody says, hey, do you know anyone who does this and this work? You look through your network, your Excel sheet, and you're like, yeah, I have 3 people that can do that. And now you can connect people with people who you've just put in your contact. So now you become a resource by doing this as well. So it's not just about the job opportunity, it's about you are now expanding your team of support around you. Questions thus far? Because we're nearing the end. That's pretty much it. Yes.
I have a question. Besides the name and the email address and maybe the position, what kind of stuff do you put in your Excel sheet?
Great question. So what I did is I did name, I did email, I did number, I did website, and then I put in notes, because, you know, if you're having a lot of these conversations, sometimes there's some nuggets of information that I want to write down, like they like so-and-so, or they mentioned this and that, or, you know, there might even not, I didn't actually do this, but you made me think about it, is you could even put another column that says like something that I learned, or that could be a separate document, maybe something that you learned from it. But to answer your question, it's like just the basics: name, contact info, and notes about just anything that you want to remind yourself of, if you want to recall anything like that. Did you take a lot of notes while you were talking to them? Or? I didn't take a lot, but I did take notes. I would let them know that like I have a paper handy, and I would say, you know, I'm so sorry, I want to write that down. Like that's a good piece of insight. I didn't do it. I didn't write a lot of notes, but I did that. What I would do at the end of each conversation, especially when there was like more learning involved, was I would finish the conversation and then write down like the ideas or thoughts that I had from that conversation. And actually, Daniel, to go back to your question, when I learn from other conversations, there are pieces of information that I didn't know before. And so I can then expand my conversation, right? Like I can start asking better, more detailed questions because I now have more content and info to go off of. So because I have more knowledge of the profession, my questions can also adjust along the way. Any more questions about, like, that's it, guys. The next slide is going to be something simple, but that's like what I did.
At the end of your story, who was these 5 people who helped you with the job? Maybe it could help us minimize the list of the people.
I didn't like, you just want to know the types of companies that they were?
No. You said that after all, it was 5 people that gave you your job opportunity, right?
Yes.
So it was from what list, these people? Like.
So yeah, so those 5, the 100 people that I spoke to,
yes,
was just my network. Basically, like what I started off with, I don't know, I'm giving you like I'm guess here, but maybe 50 people that I decided to reach out to and just said, hey, do you have anyone I can talk to about, I'm just using video marketing as an example. Do you have anyone I can talk to or learn from about video marketing? And like specifically, it was here in Israel. So I was saying, do you have anyone I can learn from about video marketing here in Israel? Because I'm new to the country and I want to learn how to best navigate the field here in Israel. And they would say, yeah, you can talk to my buddy that works for Wix about video marketing. And then that became part of that 100 total. When I talked to that guy at Wix, he's now on my Excel sheet and he's one of the 100. And then I basically talked to enough people in video marketing where one of these video marketing companies had an opportunity for me.
Thank you.
Okay.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, thank you for sharing your advice with us. Really appreciate it. And I was wondering if you had any more Israel-specific advice. Like you had mentioned saying like that you had already made Aliyah, but I was wondering if there was any like specific sectors we should be looking into or anything else we should be saying. Also like having like the culturally in mind what you should avoid or do.
Yeah, excellent. So let me go back to this slide. This slide is actually more geared towards Israel. So here in this slide, the Aliyah piece is always big for Israel. Just saying that you made Aliyah is always going to make people want to help you more because like it is a big deal what you're doing. The other piece is I play off of having to navigate the field. So what that means is I'm not saying that I don't know my profession. But when I say I understand how to navigate the field here in Israel is saying that I'm in a new country. So can you teach me how this profession works in this country? I'm not saying I don't know about the profession. I'm just saying that I want to know the ropes and I want to know the ins and outs of how the profession works specific to this culture and this country because I'm new in it. And they're like, yeah, I get that. That makes sense. I can teach you kind of how it works here. A lot of times it works very similar than anywhere else, but it's just like another in for you to kind of get on the phone with them. So talk about Aliyah and talk about that you want to understand how to navigate the profession in this country because, and they'll get that because this is a new country. And I literally like, the way that I wrote it here is literally how I reached out to people. Like this is the messaging I actually use. I would like to better understand the industry overall, understand what opportunities are available, as well as learn a bit more about the potential career path. So the template I use here says potential career path, but a lot of times I wrote, I would also like to learn how to best navigate the field here in Israel. That was another sentence I used a lot. And those were like the 2 big moves that I did as far as like tailoring it to Israel.
Yeah. And were you mostly reaching out to people that you knew were also Olim, or they were just people in the industry that you had knew of? Obviously a language barrier could be potentially an issue.
Yeah, none of them actually were Olim. Like the first 50 when I got here was like just friends of friends that I knew. Like I just knew a handful of friends that lived here. And then I would ask, you know, since I'm Jewish, there's a lot of Jewish people here. So I would ask my Jewish connections back home and say, hey, do you know anyone in Israel that works in this field. Like I even asked my mom, you know, Mom, is there anyone in the synagogue that we go to that like has any sort of connection in, I'm just going to keep going with video marketing, because I did do a little networking with that in video marketing in Israel. And then like she's in a couple of groups. She would ask, you know, a couple of her friends, and, you know, everyone kind of knows each other, and they would say, yeah, like there are these 5 people that actually are connected to video marketing in Israel. And yeah, and so that's just kind of how like I expanded my network. The tricky thing about the reaching out to people is I like to call them sleepers. Like you never know who is like a gold mine of a connection, you know? Like it could be a person that you've never spoken to that like, you know, is a 3rd degree connection, and you're like, let's give Will a shot. You know, I like making up these American names. Let's give Will a shot and let's reach out to him and see. And he's like, hey, Will, you know, I haven't spoken in a while, but, you know, it's good seeing you at synagogue here and there. My mom mentioned that you work in video marketing. And so I was wondering if you'd be open to sharing your experience about that in Israel or wherever you are. And then like, boom, you just start like just reaching out to people. Some of them might be misses. You might reach out to your network and be like, do you know anyone? And they'll be like, nope, I don't know anyone. And there's a lot of people who just won't know people, and that's that. But a lot of people will know people. So that's what makes it tricky. Some people could be a waste of time. Some people can connect you to 5 people in video marketing when themselves, you know, have nothing to do with video marketing. Okay.
I have a question. Oh, sorry. Yeah, please go on. Sorry, I'll ask later.
No, I just said thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, thanks. So my question is, since I came here, I keep hearing that networking in Israel means really so much. So would you say that here in Israel, networking works more than in any other country?
I have not been alive enough to know the answer to that question. I can say that networking in any country will work. Like I've used this strategy also in the US, and like it's the same. Like it's the same. Like basically people want to talk about themselves and their experience. And so that's why this works. It's basically saying like, I want to learn from your success. You know, like if someone were to come to you and say like, I want to learn from your accomplishments and your success and your experience, wouldn't you be like, well, I would be happy to share about my successes, you know? And so that's why this works. It's a conversation people want to have with you. And so this would work anywhere, I'd imagine. I mean, maybe some cultures are colder and more cut off than others. And, you know, maybe reaching out like this, I don't know, would be inappropriate, or people wouldn't want to refer you to other people. But in Israel, like people get this game. And especially in Israel, back to, I think it was Aliyah who asked me the question about, you know, if I reach out 6 or 7 times, is it going to offend them? In Israel, not really. Chances are no way. You know, like they know this game. Like it's the same thing. Like if you reach out 6 or 7 times, they're going to be like, ah, okay, this guy gets it. He really wants to connect with me.
Yeah, I actually wanted to add my opinion to that point, that I think that it really depends on the mentality of the people. Actually, I think that if we talk about Russian-speaking countries like Ukraine and Russia, probably people will really get pissed off if somebody follows up him or her like 7 times. So I think it depends on the mentality. People really are open to it in English-speaking countries, in Europe, in US, in Israel, but I doubt that they are open to this kind of following up in Russian-speaking countries.
You know, I can't argue with that because I really don't know how the culture is there. So it's hard to get used to mentality. We just need more time. And yeah, basically all I can say is that I know it works in the US. I know it works in Israel. I know that, you know, like my background is Colombian. Like my whole family is Colombian, and I know that in Colombia and South America, like this would also be okay. People would be cool with this. I lived in Spain for a little bit, and so there I know they would be okay with this. So I would say it's not universal, but like it works in a lot of places, and try it in Russia. It's like, what's the worst that can happen? You know, they might say like, stop emailing me, and you'd be like, okay.
Yeah,
You know, so like,
in a bit more rude way.
yeah, it could be really. That could be maybe a whole nother strategy in itself, how to network in Russia and Ukraine. But
yeah,
this I know works for Israel, which is where we are now. So, or most of us are now. And so sorry for those that might be in a place that like, you're like, oh, like, I don't know if this will work like Russia or Ukraine, but Israel, it's good. US, it's good. In a lot of European countries, it would be fine. In Latin America, I know it would be okay. So it's like, it's a lot of places, you know?
Yoel, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
You wrote about talking about making Aliyah. What if you haven't made Aliyah? Would you just kind of casually skip that, do you think? Or yeah, how would you go about addressing or not addressing that?
So if you haven't made Aliyah, or if you, like, let's say you're not going to make Aliyah and you're like, how should I apply this strategy? Just kind of based off the last question, try it in your country. See if it works. It should work. It's like a very human strategy. I know different cultures are different, but there's a lot of similar cultures and a lot of similar mentalities. So try it out and see if it works. And I guess another point I want to make is that if you're going to start your networking now, right? Because let's say you're in this boat, you're in Israel, you don't know if you want to go back home to Israel or let's say England, and you're not sure which one you want to do. So who should you network with? When you start writing down potential contacts, write down people who you can network with in Israel and write down people who you can network with in England. And then you can network in as many different countries as you like. You can try this in as many different countries as you like and see if it works. The Aliyah thing is just like it helps here in Israel specifically. It's like an extra plus, but without it, you should still be just fine, unless maybe you're in Russia or Ukraine, which.
Yeah, sorry, I should have clarified. I meant in Israel if you haven't yet made Aliyah. So like, let's say you're still on a program at the moment and you're wanting to apply to things in Israel, but you know, do you mention it or do you not?
Just say I am going to make Aliyah. Like, okay, maybe you won't make Aliyah, but saying you're going to make Aliyah is fine. They're not going to check on whether you are or aren't. If you don't want to like lie, which I don't think it's like a big lie, but if you don't want to lie, you can say, hey, I'm considering making Aliyah, and like understanding the field would really help me understand kind of like, it's almost the same structure. Like I'm considering making Aliyah and I want to better learn how this field operates here in Israel. Does that help?
Yes, thank you.
Sure. Any other questions, guys? There's one more slide. Cool. So last question I'm going to ask you. What if you want to reach out to someone, but no one has their contact? How do you find it? Once again, not asking like a trick question, just how do you think you can find someone's contact that no one in your network has?
First of all, I can find this person somewhere in social media, for example, in LinkedIn or Facebook. Maybe we have some friends who know them. If not, then I will ask someone who I know from this field, and maybe they know them.
Excellent. Excellent. That's it. LinkedIn, Facebook. Another way to find someone's contact info is you can go to the company website, and then a lot of times people's emails are listed on the company website. If that person's specific email is not on there, maybe one of their coworkers' emails are on there, and then you can copy that format to reach out to them. If you want to go like the extra mile, you can look up, there are typically 6 common email formats. You would obviously have to know, like, you know, with the @ symbol, what like that is afterwards, that address. But there's a lot of like, there's a common format. So you could actually just guess what the format might be. If you want to go through this process, it could be pretty tedious. And then most email servers will tell you if there's an error message or not when you send that, so you'll know if it went through or not. And when it does go through, you don't get an error message. So there's a good chance that that email went through to that person. I've definitely had to do that a handful of times in sales. Guys, any other questions? Otherwise, I'm gonna ask us to take a quick survey so that we can tailor our future Masa career workshops according to literally what most of you want in these workshops. And I'm gonna send you the link right now. It'll be a quick one. But before I send you the link, anyone have any other questions?
I have an unusual case and I would like to ask your advice. So I have, my colleague shared me a contact of a team lead from a big international company. I have found this person by LinkedIn and I have contacted them. And next day, so he didn't answer me, but next day HR from this company have contacted me, but this HR didn't send me a message, just have contacted me. So, and for these 3 days, this team lead didn't answer me, and HR also didn't send me a message. So what should I do right now?
So just
whom I should send an email or message?
Follow up, yeah. So basically you reached out to a team lead and that team lead connected you with HR and HR was gonna follow up with you and then-
Probably yes, that was happened, yeah.
And then do you have HR's email?
I have his contact on LinkedIn.
And you've connected on LinkedIn before?
Yeah.
And if you were to send him another message saying, you know, thank you for connecting me with HR, but HR still has not reached out, I'm just checking in to see if connecting would still be possible. Would something like that work?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, yeah, like, you know, like obviously you have to stay, it's a really good question because you have to stay professional, but remember that like, these are people, you know, they're not like, I know you guys know this, I'm not saying that you think this, but they're not like out to get you. They're not monsters, you know, like they're people they're with emotions. They're the same as you know, like they also want to help and they want to be there. And so if someone has reached out saying that they're going to do something for you and then it doesn't happen, it's not rude or bad or anything to follow up with them and say, hey, just checking in. You said you were going to connect me with this person or do this one thing for me, but it hasn't happened yet. So just wanted to check in on like, if there's a timeline on when that might happen. And they'll be like, most of the time they'll be like, yeah, of course. Like, sorry, I just forgot I got busy, this or that. And then you just play that game. And if he or she doesn't respond to you, then you do the follow-up game. Like, you know, we can talk after this. If you really like, we can talk more about it if you like, but you follow up with him. He doesn't respond back in 3, 4, 5 days, in 6 days or so, you reply saying, hey, just wanted to, you keep following up with him for like 4 or 5 times, but most likely he's going to follow up before then, and then you guys will figure it out.
Thank you.
Okay. And
I have a question if we have some time.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm finishing my internship in one company. It works with venture capital. So we've got lots of clients, venture capitals. And if it's okay, if I will find the people who work in this VCs and I will make a connection with them in Facebook or LinkedIn, or I need to ask my CEO if he don't mind about this?
So that's a good question. So just to be clear, these folks who are in venture capital, they're connected to the company that you're working with. They're partners with the company you're working with. They're not connected at all.
Yeah, they connected because we provide them servers. We provide the service for venture capital.
Okay, and you want to connect with them for what purpose?
To maybe find a job in these venture capitals.
To maybe find a job. So
yeah,
so and the question is basically if reaching out to these partners, if but you're currently working somewhere, correct?
Yeah.
Like, in other words, the question is you are currently working at one company, and this company is partnered with all of these other venture capital folks. And then you want to know if you can reach out to people in these other venture capital companies that are connected to the company that you're working for right now.
Yeah. So I mean, if it's if it's politically correct to find the people who are working in these VCs, because I know them, I know these VCs. If it's okay if I will find them and to make a connection with them, because probably I can find the job in these companies.
Yeah, that's it's a good one. That's a gray area. I'm gonna be honest. We can talk more about it, but I'd have to like understand kind of the relationship you have with your boss and the relationship your boss has with them. Like, if you were to do this, would your boss get mad? Would your boss, if you were to do this strategy and reach out to those people, would your boss be mad that you're learning and talking with them?
No, of course, because it's not a conqueror. It's like it's like our clients. It's just our clients.
Yeah, and then what if one of your clients says, I want you to come work at my company, and you leave your current job to go work for one of them?
I'm not working, I just done the internship, so it's free of time.
Yeah, reach out to all of them. Do this and reach out to all of them and have this conversation with all of them, for sure. You're in an internship, 100%. I felt like you were getting paid by this company, and then the company that you're getting paid by is partnered with these people, and then you're trying to look for a job with the partners that your current company has. No, if you're in an internship, it's a fantastic opportunity, I have to tell you. It's like 100%, write them all down, and then reach out to all of them and say you're in an internship, say that you want to learn more about this industry and that you want to pick their brain, use the template, whatever works for you, and then have that conversation with them.
Okay,
for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's a good network right there for sure.
Cool.
Okay, guys. Feel free to keep asking questions. I'm just going to copy this survey link. And like I said, the reason for this survey is so that we can literally tailor our Masa career workshops to whatever it is that you guys need. Okay, I'm sending it here in the group. Just before I hit send, just want to clarify what I just said, because I was kind of doing two things at once. I won't necessarily be teaching the workshop. Like, the point of Masa is, if you tell us you want certain things that you want us to help you out with, or you want to learn more about, we'll find pros in those areas to then hopefully run a workshop on that, right? So like, if you say that you really want, I don't know, more leadership methods, which is in the survey, or you want more CV techniques, which is something I can help out with, but we can also get a pro in CV or a pro in leadership and then create a workshop around that. So this one, we kind of put networking out there because I thought it was pretty universal and it was a strategy that maybe a lot of people could use. And now going forward, depending on what you guys say in this survey, we'll create workshops around that. And we'll keep kind of tailoring the workshops according to what you guys need. So taking the time to answer this is only helping yourselves, giving you free career advice. Here we go. So that's the link right there. Let me know if something doesn't work. Please take 5 minutes or whatever, however long it takes you to fill that out. And then once you fill that out in 5 minutes or so, I'll show you guys the next page, which will have my my email on there. You guys can jot down my email and then email me, and I will send you the full document with like all the steps laid out of what we just talked about. So go ahead and just take a second to fill that out. All right, and while you guys are doing the survey, just want to mention that we do have a Masa Career Facebook page. I'm kind of heading the Facebook page along with Anna, who's actually in this conversation as well. And we're gonna give this Facebook page a bit of a facelift. So how you see it now, it's definitely going to improve. But this Masa Career Facebook page is going to have more information on the workshops that are coming up. It's a place where people can post jobs here and there if the administrators approve the job posts. It's a place where we can kind of help each other out on anything related to career. And it's going to become, the idea is for it to become a one-stop shop for all related career questions, advice, and just kind of like a place where we can support each other within our careers here in Israel. So also copy that Facebook group and join it, because there'll be a lot of useful information coming through on that page. And honestly, guys, like, that's it. If you wrote down my email, if you've taken the survey, that's all I have for today. So you guys can stay in touch, send me a message. If you're interested in getting this presentation and the full document, if you have questions about anything related to anything, and join the Masa Career Facebook group if you want to learn more and stay in touch with everything. And that's it, guys. Like, thank you so much. You guys had awesome questions. I really appreciate your participation. I had fun, and I hope this was helpful. I mean, I'll find out in a second if it was, but I hope it was.
Thank you so much.
Thank you a lot.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
No problem. No problem.
Bye.
Have a good evening. Bye
Thank
bye.
Good
you.
evening.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Thank
Bye,
you.
Michael.
Excuse me, Yoel.
Yes.
I do not want to waste your time right now. I will write you an email.
I'm free. I'm free, man. So feel free. Don't worry.
Okay, so as I said, I have written two messages on LinkedIn. So
Yeah.
to team lead from Intel and to team lead from Apple. So team lead from Intel, this contact shared with me my colleague from my internship company. So and also he has written me this contact from Apple. So, but he doesn't know this person. He just knows that he is working at this company. So I have sent in. I have connect them on both on LinkedIn, and on the next day, HRs from both companies have connected me. So, and by they didn't write me a message, as I think it was happened because of due to Corona and this unusual time. But right now I do not know exactly whom I should write a message. Probably this person from Intel has also connected me. So from Intel, I have right now two connects, HR and this team lead. And from Apple, I'm having nothing because this person didn't connect me. And I also had an HR connection from Apple.
Okay. So, and how many organizations? It's 2 organizations you're working with right now?
I'm interested right now about these 2 organizations.
And are you in a program right now with Masa?
No, I'm an optical engineer.
You're an optical engineer. Excellent. Okay. Mm-hmm. And right now you're basically you're applying for work in these 2 other companies, which is Apple and Intel. And you have, let's just start with Apple. So with Apple, you've connected with the team lead, correct?
Yeah.
Within the department that you want to work in.
Mm-hmm. And this department has an jobs opportunity, jobs position.
Okay, fantastic. And that team lead said that they're going to connect you with HR.
Probably yes, because it's HR from Apple has connected me.
So the HR from Apple did reach out to you.
Mm-hmm.
And what did they say?
Nothing. Just connect me.
Oh, just on LinkedIn, just like a connection on LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I see. But you were expecting a message from them on the following steps.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And what did the team lead say? Was he interested in you? What did he say?
Nothing. He didn't answer me, and he he didn't accept my connection.
Oh, he didn't accept your connection. Okay,
yeah, and
so,
I cannot write him a message because on LinkedIn yeah.
So in a way, he's basically like irrelevant at this point. You try to send him a message, you haven't talked with him, like there's no connection with him.
No
right?
connection right now. Yes.
And you tried to connect with the HR department, correct?
No, HR department connect me.
Oh, they reached out to you.
Mm-hmm. Themselves.
Yeah. And now your question is, who do I speak with? Like, how do I follow up?
May I write, so what is the best way to write right now a message to HR or just await the message from HR?
Ah, great, okay. Reach out, for sure. I would reach out, most definitely. And like now that you have their connection, it's like an HR representative, right? It's like a person,
mm-hmm.
right? That connected you.
Yeah, yeah.
Reach out to her and say, hey, thank you for connecting with me. We can work on the message if you want after this. But you would reach out to her and you would basically say like, hey, I'm very interested in this position. Thank you for connecting with me. Would it be possible? I mean, you want to talk with her. So I'd have to think about like the approach a little bit. But why did the HR person connect with you? Do you think the team lead told her to connect with you?
I cannot know about
it. You know, so it was just like you
I can guess only.
Oh, I see. So you reached out to the team lead in Apple, and then and sorry, other guys, if you guys
next day HR.
But yeah. So then the next day HR reached out to you and connected with you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. First of all, that's a good sign. So now the question is, what should your message look like? And I'd honestly, I'd have to like think about it. I couldn't give you the perfect message on the spot. So message me after this and we can work on that message. But essentially a short answer would be that you want to talk with her and you would like the opportunity to share a bit more about yourself and learn a bit more about the company. That's what you want to do. You want to share more about yourself and learn a bit more about the company and to find a way how to word that. But you should definitely reach out to her with that sentiment.
Mm-hmm. Great. And about the Intel, right now I have two connections, HR and team lead. Whom I should write in this case?
HR. Yeah, HR. If you have both, then HR. Yeah.
Great.
But
thank you.
Email me after this and we can continue if you still need help.
I will write you an email. So at first you will share me your presentation, and the next step will be I'll write an example of my message to the HR. Yeah, great.
Exactly.
Thank you very much.
Yep. Of course. All right, man. Take care. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Ciao. For those that are staying on, does anyone have questions? Because I'm going to end the meeting pretty soon. So if you're like writing anything down or anything, last chance, because I'm going to exit out of here pretty quick.